What's going on, guys? It's another edition of Time Out here on 24 Flix. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Cove. How you doing today, my friend?
Man, I'm hanging in there. It feels like even though it's expected, it's like your grandpa was sick for a long time, and then one day he's gonna die, and you knew Cowboys were gonna lose one day, and this is the time I expected it, but they're so close, man. They really so I'm feeling it. I'm wearing kind of black, and life goes on, right?
Life does go on, you Dallas Cowboy fan. We're definitely talking about the Dallas Cowboys. We're also talking about the other playoff matchups, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Giants. We know who the two teams are going to be in the NFC Championship. It's actually going to be the Philadelphia Eagles versus the San Francisco 49ers. And on the other side, the AFC, Cincinnati versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So we'll recap those games on divisional playoff weekend. We'll talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, all kinds of rumors swirling around about Tom Brady, where he's going to go, Aaron Rodgers possibly being traded, Sean Payton, who is he going to select as his next team to be the head coach of, and also get into some NBA action here on 24 Flix on Timeout. Once again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Cove. So let's get to it. Where do you want to start? I mean, where do we start? Do we start with the Kansas City Chiefs, who barely survived the Jacksonville Jaguars? A great story. Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence. But I think the biggest story is not the Jaguars in this game, but what happened to Patrick Mahomes, a high ankle sprain going into that Cincinnati game. I'm not sure how healthy he's going to be. And he looked like he was not healthy because he had Chad Henne come in, still do a pretty good job. Mahomes throws for 2 touchdowns, but for me going forward, if Mahomes is not 100% healthy, that is definitely going to make me favor the Cincinnati Bengals. Your thoughts?
You said the word, barely. They barely beat the Jags. The Jags, once again, had an opportunity to steal one towards the end. They just couldn't put it together. Holmes hobbling on one leg. Even I was like, oh, no. It's like everything is built on him and that team. He hobbled to the sideline, was in tremendous pain, but was like cussing, yelling at everybody in the sideline. I'm going in. I'm going back in. Went, got the X-ray. X-rays didn't reveal any fractures or breaks, and they gave him the go-ahead to go in. So they probably just taped him up with some duct tape and sent him back out there. And he pulled it out, made them score enough points to get the win. So, wow, what a game, man! That reminded me of Byron Leftwich when they carried him down to the offensive the line with when he was playing with Marshall. You remember that game?
I do absolutely remember that game. And of course, you became a first round pick after that. People were looking at it and saying tremendous on his part trying to get through. But Mahomes for the game, 22 for 30, 2 touchdowns, 195 yards. Once again, Chad Henne had to come in. Do the Chiefs deserve a timeout, if you will, because they did put him back in that game? I mean, what are you thinking at that point? I get it. He gives you the best chance to win, and you can't look back. There's no tomorrow if you lose that game versus the Jaguars. But do they deserve a timeout? Because Chad Henne is a backup. He knows the offense. Why put him back in there and risk it?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs deserve a timeout.
Oh,
they could have took my boy out even after. I mean, they had the 27 points. They drove down the field with Henne. I'm leaving and looking at the closing of the game, and Mahomes is still out there with a messed up leg, man. I didn't get it, man. So
what are you doing? And his game is all based off of mobility. You saw this, Chris, on Saturday. It seems so far away. But on Saturday, he likes to move around. He likes to move the pocket around. When he's able to do that, he can make things happen that are amazing. He's one of the best quarterbacks, young quarterbacks in the league, and that's saying something. And when he's hurt and he doesn't have that mobility, he's a totally different player. And you could see that on Saturday. And that's why I go into this game with the Cincinnati Bengals. And let's shift gears a little bit. They absolutely dominated the Buffalo Bills 27-10. Of course, a lot of people coming into this game thinking Josh Allen and DeMar Hamlin and all that stuff would galvanize this team. But at the end of the day, the best quarterback on the field last Sunday was Joe Burrow. And of course, that rushing scheme, 172 yards. And I told you, Chris, last week I had a lot of question marks about this Buffalo Bill defense. Could they get it done? They could not get it done. They could not stop that rushing attack of Joe Mixon and other parties on the Bengals team.
Absolutely, man. Joe Burrow, 23 for 36, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he rocked it out, man. And in the snow, that's what got me. I mean, yeah, it snows in both places, but Buffalo like lives in the snow.
Right.
But it seemed like the defensive line couldn't get any effectiveness while Kansas City was running all over the place. So, man, and then Josh Allen. I mean, talk about Josh Allen's game, because I don't know. This was his opportunity to redeem himself from stupid face comments that have been out on the radio and in the media.
Yeah, I mean, it's turnover situation. It's the fact that your defense is not able to get off the field. You can't make the plays when you need to make the plays. You have no rushing attack at the end of the day. And when you become one-dimensional, which is what Cincinnati made Allen and the Bills on Sunday, that's you're in trouble, because if you're, again, he can throw any pass in the National Football League. He can make any throw. He's mobile, but also he has the opportunity for turnovers. And somebody kind of brought this comparison up. Does he remind you of Phillip Rivers? I mean, very talented, but can never win. And I get it. It's early in his career,
yes.
But Buffalo, I mean, you're at the doorstep last year. You're not able to get over the hump. You feel like you have the team this year. I think they were definitely hurt by Von Miller being out. You're not able to get over the hump. So what do you do at this point? Could you fire the coach into Sean McDermott with you winning the AFC East and making the playoffs? Is that a possibility that you only can go so far with him? Or do you just continue to build up in free agency in the draft and hope it works out for you?
It's wild. And you look at his stats, 0 touchdowns, 265 yards. He only went about 50%, almost 25 for 42. His only touchdown was on the ground running.
Yes.
Their rushing was anemic, 63 yards. I mean, they couldn't do anything. And this is their native environment, right? They're in the snow tundra, I guess.
Yes.
Just, again, another gunslinger like my boy. And they just, the mistakes and just trying to force things to happen. Cincinnati just had their number. I think they had better talent. And then that's what showed in the end. Joe Cool, baby.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, Joe Burrow kind of reminds me of Joe Montana. I watched him, and I'm kind of aging myself, but you look at his numbers, 23 for 36, 242, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And Chris, this is an offensive line that's missing 3 starters, and they're still able to be dominant. I mean, at the end of the day, do you feel like Cincinnati is going to be the Super Bowl favorite, or do I deserve a timeout for that?
You deserve a timeout for that, because that's going to be bam. So, I mean, either the Eagles or the Niners. Both teams are better than Cincinnati. I don't see them. They are not the Rams. So they are not. I mean, they are the boys that are going to be in there. They're 2 of the best teams in the NFL. Are in the NFC. Buffalo was actually counted as one of the best, and KC, who has a one-legged quarterback. So It looks like it's going to be an NFC Super Bowl champion this year. I don't give Cincinnati. I mean, they'll give them a game, but I'm sorry. Versus the Eagles defense or the Niners defense, which are just, I mean, the Niners defense. Do I have to talk about the Niners defense? Can we just talk about the elephant in the room, please? My Dallas Cowboys.
Well, can I give you a timeout first? Because you deserve a timeout. Because the Bengals should be the Super Bowl favorite when you can run the ball for over 150 yards, when you have a quarterback that's making plays, when you have weapons like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and once again, a defense that is getting it done. And once again, going back to it, 3 offensive line starters are out, and you're still putting up those type of numbers. Furthermore, all the Bengals heard was you were going to have a neutral site game. It was going to be the city and Buffalo. And Joe Burrow says the perfect thing. Get your refunds ready.
Yes.
This team had a slow start. They really started to click after they were down versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they've never looked back ever since. And I tell you right now, they seem like they're a team that's on a mission. They have something to prove from last year's Super Bowl loss to the Rams.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're going to lose this year.
So you agree with me. So you deserve a timeout. There you go. Let's talk about first and foremost. I know you want to talk about the Cowboys, but
I want to get it over with, dude. I just want to get it over with.
Get it over with. Go ahead.
Got my tissue.
Yes.
It was a tough night. You know, they actually did a lot better than I thought they would. It was a pure defensive battle, man. What a game on the defensive end. Neither little Purdy or Dak. I mean, Dak, 2 interceptions, and they even explained them. One was because his feet weren't the receiver, so his feet weren't in the throwing position, so he stopped running the route. But Dak threw it anyway.
Yeah,
and it went right to the Niners. The second one, I just don't get, man. He was trying to hit CD Lamb. Frank Ward was in front of CD Lamb and was falling. Dak threw the ball, hit Ward in the chest. It bounced over CD Lamb and was intercepted by the Niners. I mean, that's like a pull trick.
You look at the numbers. Again, 23 for 37, 206, 1 touchdown, but 2 critical interceptions. And against a great defense like the San Francisco 49ers, who coming into this game was number 1 in the National Football League. You can't continue to commit those errors, and that's exactly what Dak did all year long. And it comes down to the Tampa Bay game, right? No pressure. He's able to throw anywhere he wants to. In this game, all kinds of pressure, and you see it. And to me, the game really changed when you lose Tony Pollard, because he's your best running back at the end of the day. Ezekiel Elliott, yards per carry has gone down every year ever since he's gotten that big-time contract. He's a short yardage back. To me, that's where the tide turned for the Dallas Cowboys against the 49ers.
Yeah, Zeke was totally ineffective. I mean, he's good for maybe goal line. That's about it. Tony Pollard is just carried the load for the Cowboys. I mean, even the week before against Tampa, they tried to run heavy with Zeke. And again, he was not getting anywhere. They switched to focusing more on Tony, and he ripped it. But this time, you know, Tony got the high ankle sprain, injured his leg, and they didn't have him for the second half pretty much. So that was a huge weapon to lose. That put more pressure on Dak, even though his interceptions were earlier in the game, but still, they couldn't make it happen. They had the chances, but they couldn't make it happen. It's very unfortunate. And Dak had the same speech. I can't make those throws. I can't make those interceptions. Duh. Of course. Can I get a ha 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 shut up on that?
Oh, absolutely you can.
Shut up!
And it's been the thing that has plagued this offense ever since he's came back. He's led the NFL with interceptions. He missed 5 games. You have to question, you pay the guy $40 million and over. Is he the quarterback of the future? You're a Cowboy fan. Do I deserve a timeout for even asking that question? Is he the quarterback of your future?
You deserve a time. I don't know, man.
All right. So,
he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, except for one thing: interceptions. He led the league in interceptions, but has some of the best stats in the league. It's like, what the heck? You pressure him, which 49ers did, and he just, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, you know me. I've watched the Bucs for so many years, and 2019 comes to mind with Jameis Winston, right? I mean, over 30 touchdowns, 33 touchdowns, but 30 interceptions, 5,000 yards. He can make every throw, but also he can throw it to the other team, and that is the most important stat at the end of the day. When you're turning over the ball, your team is not going anywhere, and it can cost you a job. They're going to stick with Dak Prescott because of the contract, but I definitely think there's some major questions. Again, 6 points in 6 half possessions in the second half possession. 6 points in 6 second half possessions is not going to get it done. And you have to explain it to me. What is Mike McCarthy calling at the end of the game to put Zeke at center? Basically get trucked over. That play's not going anywhere. And McCarthy had this to say: yeah, it didn't get going. I really don't want to get into detail of that, but obviously that wasn't the plan. It's obviously a gadget play or whatever. It's a last play situation call that we practice. Look, if you're practicing that, you need to do a little bit better than that. That was a terrible call. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a timeout to Mike McCarthy for sure. I mean, dang, man. You set it up right? You're supposed to. I mean, I remember Steve Spurrier and Bill Belichick coming up with these crazy formations, but you run out, you surprise them, and you run it. The surprise is the big part of it. They ran out. San Francisco called a timeout, and they ran it out again. There's no surprise. So you pop 2 linemen on Zeke and just plowed him into the ground. Just more embarrassment. I'm ready for Sean Payton. Let's make it happen.
Well, and there's a mystery team there with Sean Payton. We'll get back to that in a moment. Yeah. But I think the positive you can take out of this is Dan Quinn's defense. Micah Parsons all over the place. This Dallas defense has one of the best young defensive players in the National Football League. If he can continue to do what he's doing, it's going to be amazing. The defense did the job. The offense didn't. And that's the reason why you hired a Mike McCarthy in the first place.
Right.
And Jerry Jones said at the end of the game, it's not going to determine it, but you got to kind of feel like it may. And you're looking at Sean Payton. How much is it going to cost you? Is it worth it? You're a Cowboy fan. Are you calling up Jerry Jones on the bat phone right now and saying, Jerry, do whatever you need to do to get Sean Payton in here as the coach?
Sir, give me the number. I will call tonight, right after this podcast.
Right.
Give me the number.
All right, I bet you would. And let's look at the other matchup here. I know you love talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and New York Giants. I thought this was going to be a closer contest, but complete and total domination. And oh, by the way, the Eagles, they had Jalen Hurts back, 16 for 24, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. But I think the main story was you rush for 268 yards. You're not going to beat anybody. I always say it. In playoff football, especially the postseason, you got to have some components, a defense, and especially a running game. And that's exactly what the Eagles had on Saturday night versus the New York Giants. And oh, by the way, Daniel Jones reverted back to old Danny Dimes again, throwing turnovers, ill-advised throw. It doesn't matter. The game was over by halftime, 28-0. Your thoughts?
Embarrassment, total embarrassment for the Giants. I didn't even bother calling my family. I was cheering them on in the first half, and then, I didn't text them anymore because it was pitiful. I mean, good God, they didn't even show up, dude. I mean, it's not like they're tired from travel. It's only an hour and a half down to Philly. I mean, it's just no reason for this. They showed no effort. They didn't get it done. They didn't get it done. And Philly was on fire. They were ready to go. First game of the playoffs. Let's do this, and they did it, man. They really did it.
They really did, not only with their running back situation of Miles Sanders and Gainwell, but also those 2 guys on the outside, A.J. Brown, who's a playmaking nightmare. He's a mismatch nightmare going into that San Francisco game. And, of course, you got Devontae Smith. So, with that being said, you're setting it up here on Sunday, on Championship Sunday. Who do you like in that game and why? The Philadelphia Eagles versus the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, now, this is tough. This is a really great matchup. The only weakness I see is Purdy, but he hasn't been playing like a rookie a little bit, but not really. He's been coming through. So this is, I mean, both teams have really good defenses. I think San Francisco's is a little bit better, but Hurts is way better than Purdy. It's kind of a call-em, man. I can't pick. I think they're dead even. I'd like to see the Eagles win because, Niners, Dallas history. Send them Niners home. But I don't know. I'll pick Philly. I will pick Philly.
Well, I've gone on record and said that the San Francisco 49ers, I feel like, are the best team, not only in the NFC, but the National Football League would be in the most complete team. Offense, defense, and special teams at the end of the day. But for me, you've got a rookie quarterback. You could see against the blitz, he was like 3 for 11 versus the Cowboys for 24 yards. You know that Philly is definitely going to blitz him. You know that Philly is going to get after him coming into the postseason, including the postseason, 75 sacks. You got James Bradbury, Darius Slay. You've got guys that can get after it. And for me, the biggest key is Lane Johnson. If he's back, which it looks like he is, he's going to be able to block a Nick Bosa. Of course, their line's going to get after it. And Jalen Hurts and that matchup with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, that is the pure weakness, in my opinion, with the San Francisco 49ers. You saw it with CeeDee Lamb. You saw it with DK Metcalf. I feel like Philly will take advantage of it in a close one, but Philly goes on to win. So with that being said, the AFC Championship with, once again, the rematch. And by the way, the Bengals coming into it 3-0 the last year and a half against the Kansas City Chiefs. Who do you like and why?
Hey, KC, they're missing a piston. I mean, yet they're not going to have Patrick Mahomes' mobility. He's going to fire it all over the place. I'm sure they're going to use some plays to get some of their more mobile players loose. But I hate to go against Andy Reid because he's an offensive genius, but I really think the Bengals are going to take it.
I do too. And especially if you can run the ball, you can be balanced, and you got probably the best quarterback right now in the postseason, young quarterback in a Joe Burrow, who once again, I said, reminded me of Joe Montana. He's getting it done with all those weapons. If Mahomes was even healthy in this game, it may be a little bit closer. I like Cincinnati going away, and I don't think it's going to be that close, to tell you the truth. In fact, I'm going to go out on the limb here and say the Cincinnati Bengals are the best team right now, and they have everything to lose in this game. For me, they're going to win this game. They're going to win this game easily. Cincinnati versus the Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl 57 in Arizona. I know, by the way, Rihanna is going to be at halftime. What do you think about that, Chris? I love it, right?
Rihanna is great. She's just amazing. It's gonna be an amazing show. I'm waiting to see what else they put together. I heard they announced a couple other acts that are going to be with her. She's had enough time, and she's just so tied to excellence that she's gonna put on a good show, man. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm not like Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, she's no Beyonce. She's also no Prince. She's no Michael Jackson. I mean, but you know, she's got to put on a good show, man. So let's see it. I can't wait to see it.
That's what it's all about at the end of the day. You know, put on a good show for halftime. You got to get the best artists. The NFL did a good job of that. And I think it's, you know, the partnership with Jay-Z over the years, it's made it a cooler halftime. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think it's always performance. And you always have some surprises, some, artists out there that you least expect. Maybe Eminem comes out. They've done some hits together. Just saying, at the end of the day, who knows? You can never get enough of that.
Right.
With that being said, you want to hit some Bucs news?
Man, let's hit some Bucs news. First of all, let me talk about this because I thought about this, and we've been calling for his name all season. Byron Leftwich. How about them Bucs, baby? Byron Leftwich was fired.
Yeah.
He just didn't do it this season, which is I don't know. I don't know if it's Bowles. It's probably the talent, which is we've been told on previous podcasts. But I mean, he was good enough to get to them to the Super Bowl. He's good enough to get to them to the championship, but not good enough this year, man. Talk about that. I mean, has his skills digressed, or has the team's talent digressed?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, right? I mean, father time is definitely caught up with Tom Brady. It certainly seems like at the end of the day. And yes, I was one of those people that said Leftwich deserves a job. In fact, I would have rather had him as the new coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over Todd Bowles, because at the end of the day, NFL teams, general managers are looking to hire offensive minds, not defensive minds. With that being said, I was high on Leftwich, and this is why. 2019, 28.6 points a game, third in the National Football League. Of course, the Super Bowl year, 30.8, third. 2021, 30.1, second. This year, 18.4, 25th. And what you hear, recent reports suggest that Todd Bowles had two opportunities to fire him and didn't do it. So it's amazing in itself. They didn't fire him. The Bucs offense, with all this talent, I get it. The offensive line had their fair share of injuries and retirements and everything like that. But you still have Mike Evans. You still have Chris Godwin. You still have Julio Jones. You have Cade Otton, Leonard Fournette, Rashard White. That's the reason why. And I kind of agree with you, because I feel like they shouldn't have just fired a Byron Leftwich. I almost feel like they should have fired a Todd Bowles. I have big-time questions about him and coaching going forward. I don't necessarily think he's aggressive enough. But to be fair, the way the Bucs are looking at it is he'll get a chance to hire his own staff. He didn't get a chance to do that. That was BA's leftover coaches. So he'll get the opportunity to hire his own staff, his own offensive coordinator. There's already reports that he's talking to Jim Bob Cooter, who did some great things with Trevor Lawrence with the Jacksonville Jaguars as their offensive coordinator. There's some other names out there. For me, I think it's all about trying to get Tom Brady back. I don't necessarily think he's done. And the reason why I say that is because if you get rid of Tom Brady, you have a $35 million cap hit. Now, if he retires, they could spread that out. But all the talk has been Tom Brady going to the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Jets, the Titans, other teams like that. I feel like if that happened, the Bucs would absolutely be in a real rebuilding process instead of a reloading process, which is what Todd Bowles said last week.
Instantly a rebuild if he leaves. And from what I've heard, I mean, after the game last week, the way Tom said his goodbyes in the locker room, not only to the media, which we mentioned, but in the locker room was like a goodbye. Like, I'm out. That's it. So it doesn't look like he's going to be in Tampa for what we're hearing right now. And I don't know, did you get a chance to listen to his podcast and his comments there?
I did. And he said to Jim Gray when asked about this, if I knew what I was going to effing do, I would have already effing done it. I'm taking it a day at a time. I appreciate you asking. Thank you. Of course, reports today from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN said that the Bucs could still be in it, that the Raiders feel like they're in the driver's seat. I mean, who knows? At the end of the day, you heard from Ian Rappaport during the weekend that teammates suggested that he was done, and you saw the press conference that you felt like he was done. So who knows what's going to happen? And I don't know if Tom Brady knows what's going to happen. But I will say this on timeout. Again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with my co-host, Mr. Chris Cuff. The best situation, in my opinion, is down here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This organization has rolled out the red carpet. They've done everything in their power to make this man happy. I feel like if he's going anywhere else, it's got to be on the East Coast. You got to be closer to your kids. And I feel like at the end of the day, he's going to realize that the Bucs are the best spot for him. Not the Dolphins, not the Jets, not the Raiders, not even the 49ers. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's either the Bucs or he retires, in my opinion.
What do you think the Bucs need? I mean, of course, we're going to have an opportunity to hire a new new offensive coordinator. Might be friendly to Brady. They might do that. As well as, I mean, bring some more talent. And that might help some things. So what do you think?
It depends on the quarterback situation. If you have Tom Brady in the fold, you're able to have more flexibility with your cap. Of course, if you don't, you have that $35 million cap and you have multiple free agents, over 10 free agents, and the majority of those are on defense. So let me get this straight. Todd Bowles finally gets an opportunity to be a head coach in the National Football League, have his own staff, and he's going to lose the majority of his defense to free agency because you don't have any salary cap flexibility. I don't know if that's going to happen at this juncture, but it comes down to quarterback. Once you make that decision, once that is made by this organization of who going forward is going to be the quarterback, then I think you can decide then. And disappointing, and I'll shift gears here, Bill O'Brien hired by the New England Patriots, taking over for Matt Patricia. Thank God. Patricia had no experience coming in as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he's a defensive guy. I was like, what are they doing?
Right. And
Bill
Matt
was running it in the corner over there.
They hired him today. I felt like O'Brien would have been the perfect offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to attract a Tom Brady, and now he's with the Patriots. So I guess I'll ask you this question. If it's not the Bucs, if it's not the Dolphins, if it's not the Jets or the Titans, is there a possibility of the New England Patriots, or do I deserve a timeout for thinking that?
East Coast team, and I'm sure Brady just wants one more.
Right.
It's very much a possibility. I will not time out you for that. I think that's on point.
Okay. All right. So we'll see what happens with that. Again, Aaron Rodgers today told the Pat McAfee show that he would be willing to do something with his contract. It's amazing to me because you should have been doing this for years, and more than likely you're not going to lose a Devontae Adams, but he's willing to adjust his contract. Then there was a report out later on that the Green Bay Packers are not going to trade him in the NFC. Big shocker there. They're going to trade him to the AFC.
Right.
So do you buy this? Do you buy Aaron Rodgers being traded by the Green Bay Packers to an AFC team?
I do, because I think if the biggest thing preventing teams from getting him is his contract. So I don't know if he's going to adjust it and then get traded, or stay with Green Bay and bring in more assets. But I think they're going to unload him finally. I think they should.
Now, you wanted to talk about Sean Payton, and you were saying you heard this and heard that. What do you know about Sean Payton? What team is he going to coach here, you think, Chris, in 2023?
Hopefully the Cowboys, but there's a stack of teams that are waiting for Peyton, and it looks like the Texans, the Broncos, the Cardinals, and the Carolina Panthers have all have been granted permission to speak to Peyton. So he's going to do a little shopping around a little bit, and then he's going to land back in Dallas.
I think he may end up with the Broncos or Russell Wilson. I don't know. Again, this is all speculation. But why not? If you're the Broncos, you get an offensive-minded coach. You have Russell Wilson, who's already a veteran quarterback there, so you can go in that direction. What I'm really surprised by is the Carolina Panthers and their interest. And why would the Saints trade him for anything less than 2 or 3 first-round picks? And people are like, you're crazy for saying that.
Right.
But the last time a coach was traded, it was to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and John Gruden from the Raiders, right? You usually don't see divisions trade within each other, especially coaches that are proven that have won a Super Bowl, which he did with the Saints. But John Gruden cost the Bucs 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and they won the Super Bowl. I would do that trade all day long. All day long, and every day on Sunday, including holidays and everything else. So besides the Cowboys, put your bias aside, what is the best scenario for Sean Payton in 2023?
Not Denver. Have you been to Denver? I mean, it's. I mean, the altitude.
Deion's in Boulder.
Deion, yeah, limping around on his 8 toes. Yeah,
right.
I mean, come on, Russell Wilson. I mean, he might still have something, but I don't know, man. I'm not sure on that.
I guess the question could be asked, is that Nathaniel Hackett as the coach ruining Russell Wilson, who was looked at as a franchise quarterback and was absolutely disappointing this year along with that offense? I mean, you still have some components there offensively, defensively. You're still pretty good. I understand what they're trying to do with Sean Payton, and I think Sean Payton can attract. I think the most interesting scenario is wherever Sean Payton goes. Let's say he goes to the Carolina Panthers. The big time rumor last year was it was a package deal where Payton goes to coach the Carolina Panthers. Does Tom Brady follow? Wherever Payton gets a job, does Tom Brady follow?
Very interesting, because they were both rumored to be going down to Miami. That was the deal that fell apart. That's what I was going to say. I was saying maybe the Carolina Panthers. The Texans are a mess, even though they made some moves later on. But the Panthers had really upward movement at the end of the season. And putting Peyton in there, I think that might change things.
Yeah, and it depends on how much you're going to pay Sean Payton, because you're going to definitely have to pay him big-time money. And, of course, he has that cushy job with Fox, so there's no guarantee he's going to take a coaching job. In fact, I'm still surprised that Brandon Staley is not fired by the Chargers, because I still feel like he would be the best coach for that situation. 49ers defensive lineman Charles Omenihu, arrested after domestic incident. That's a big time distraction. That's a no before anything. At the end of the day, the NFL is taking a stand on this. They need to take a stand on this. But I guess what I'm concerned about is him being a part of that 49er defense. Is this a big time distraction to this team? Which, by the way, you don't need that, because you got the Philadelphia Eagles on the road.
I know this is a big game. And Amuni, who got in an argument with his girlfriend and pushed her to the floor. And that was the domestic violence. It's just terrible timing. I mean, this is the biggest game of the year for him, if not the Super Bowl. And he's probably going to be out. I don't know. Depends on how long the NFL takes. They might take some time to decide on a suspension or whatever. We need a few weeks to look into the details so he can still play. You know how that game works.
Yeah, and I don't think he could play in this game. I think it's a PR nightmare for the National Football League. I get it. I can't see him playing in this game. Again, too much of a distraction, too much of a PR nightmare for the league. So I don't see that happening. And I wonder how much of a loss he is. Again, at the end of the day, you have Nick Bosa, you have Kinlaw, you have enough Fred Warner there. So enough defensive players, but just something you don't want to see happen, something you never want to talk about when it comes to sports, domestic violence, which is a big time problem in the league and all across sports. And I like the fact that leagues are now, putting a stop to it, making an example out of players they need to, because at the end of the day, it's just not a good optic. I know you're going to talk about the NBA. So what's going on with the National Basketball Association?
Okay, lots of big news this week. First of all, let me just go to the team that everyone is always talking about, which is the Lakers. The Lakers picked up Rui Hachimura from the Washington Wizards
God bless you.
for Kendrick Nunn and 2 draft picks. Hachimura is a huge Japanese, a popular Japanese player, and just seeing him go from DC to LA is going to be amazing. It's going to be a publicity rush out there. Big Asian base out there, as well as closer to Japan. I know that when the Wiz came to Orlando, the Magic, there was Japanese press there. Just follow him there. So that's going to be really cool. It's really going to help them. He's a big man. He's a good shooter. Got a good inside work. So we'll see. Kendrick Nunn was doing nothing for the Lakers, so he's gone. He gone. Big news in Orlando. 2.5 years, bro. 2.5 years.
Yes!
860 something games missed.
Yes.
The big man, Jonathan Isaac, is back. He came back with the Magic last night as they faced the Boston Celtics. The Magic were on fire last night.
They own the Celtics this year, don't they?
They out of 4 games, they won 3. 3
Nice.
games to 1 against the Celtics, including a back-to-back in Boston. I mean, They just had their number. They had their number. Isaac looked good. He played for 10 minutes, scored 10 points, 5 rebounds. Good game, and he's just getting started. So if he was that effective in 10 minutes to score 10 points, wait till he gets acclimated. They're going to increase his minutes as he goes, and man, that lineup is going to be fierce. That they are going to be something to contend with, and I just don't understand why the best team in the NBA. The Celtics are 35-13. The Magic are, I think, 20-29.
Mm-hmm.
And the Magic own them. Own them.
Well, it's just youth. It's just one of those matchups, right? It doesn't necessarily work out in the Celtics' favor. But at the end of the day, you talk about Isaac, how skilled he was coming out of Florida State. He could definitely hit the 3. And the thing that you can't teach at the end of the day is not only athleticism, but also length. And that's exactly what he has, especially on the perimeter. And that's what the Magic are looking for. So hopefully he can work out. Because I remember I was doing a sports talk show on radio, and I was comparing this man to Kevin Durant. I mean, he's not Kevin Durant. Right. He's got the skill set to be like a Kevin Durant. Hopefully he can stay healthy going forward for the Orlando Magic.
I think he plays better defense than Durant. Defense is his specialty. So
what do you see with the Magic team? Because you cover them for 24 Flix. You're out there. You're talking to players. You're talking to coaches. How impressive or how impressed are you by this young Magic team this year?
These guys are doing amazing. They came from nothing, from the ground. Jamal Mosley pretty much inherited a dumpster fire with a bunch of young players. Their veterans have been traded away, and he just had to build it up from the ground. And it was kind of like a brotherhood that they built, and they all just stood with Jamal. They knew what Jamal had to work with, and they all just were with you, coach, the whole way. And now it's paying off. And they're getting more and more talent with them being lower and higher in the draft, that these players are coming through. Franz Wagner, Cole Anthony is being a good scorer. And gosh, Paolo, he's a rookie scoring over 20 points a game.
Monster.
As a rookie. And we're only at the half point of the season. Yeah. He's not even a seasoned NBA player yet. And he's rocking it. So there's so much talent. Markelle Fultz is just pushing them through, and they're doing great. By the way, I mean, they got smashed at Washington over the weekend. Rui Hachimura scored 30 on the Magic. So that tells you what the Lakers are getting. But the Magic teams are thinking twice about coming to Orlando and taking it easy because they're snatching wins from really good teams. So we'll see. It's going to be exciting season, rest of the season for sure.
Absolutely. Going back to the Laker trade, what's the significance of it? Because I was doing some research today and I couldn't believe that. But the last time these players were paired with Westbrook, did they not make the playoffs with the Wizards? Is that true?
I think they made it once and then did not make it the second time.
Mm-hmm.
The difference that happened in Washington was Washington picked up Kyle Kuzma, which took Rui's spot. And when Rui came in, he wasn't very, very effective. So Washington deemed him expendable. So they traded him off. So I think he's got a lot of talent. So we'll see, man. I think he's really going to help the Lakers.
And I think that's what the Lakers are banking on at the end of the day. You have that chemistry. They're hoping that will give them that playoff push. You watch the Lakers, you watch the NBA probably a little bit more than I do. What do you see with that team? Can they put it together?
The Lakers? No, they need more talent.
I
don't think they're garbage, man. They're garbage. I mean, Barkley said one time on the TNT show, "Why are we pushing this game? They're garbage. They're terrible."
Well, LeBron James.
Yeah, exactly. Why. I mean, watching LeBron suffer. I mean, oh my gosh, but Rui will definitely help. They still need much more help. We'll see. They might eke into the playoffs. I know Anthony Davis is supposed to be coming back soon, so you'll see them scratch out some wins. But other than that, man, it's just like, I mean, it's young talent. They're all not as good as you would expect with the Lakers. But they might. I mean, you still have LeBron, you got AD, and you got a couple of pieces around him. So we'll see. We'll see. I think the Lakers, you'll see them get some wins.
What about Milwaukee? The Greek Freak, Giannis and Middleton back, and they stomped the Pistons. I mean, what do you think about that team? Are they the class of the Eastern Conference, in your opinion?
The class of the Eastern Conference is the Boston Celtics.
Not against the Magic.
Against the Magic. We're not there yet, but we will be.
Right.
We will be. Just like I told you about the Jags. Watch out for the Magic. The Celtics are, yeah, the Magic, like, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, he's got Boston's number. But Boston, I mean, they've been on a lot lately on the national broadcast, and Boston has just been cleaning out teams. Golden State, the Lakers, all over the West and East Coast. But Giannis and Chris Middleton are back. They're key pieces of the Bucks. So give them a couple games to retool, and then they're going to be a force to deal with. I mean, they put up 150 points against the Pistons and beat them 150-130 last night. So they had something to say, and man, it's going to be an interesting NBA East. I'll tell you that.
I tell you right now, for Magic fans, you got to hope that the Magic can take care of business. They get that last seed so they can play the Boston Celtics. Because I'm telling you right now, Boston is not going to overlook them. Not the way this team has played.
Oh no!
Again, you can dream. You can dream if you're a Magic fan. I've watched them for a long time. The 2023 McDonald's All-American game, those rosters, anything caught your attention with that roster?
There's one name that really stood out, Bronny James.
Oh, yes.
LeBron's son finally is getting closer and closer to the point. He signed up and is going to be on the McDonald's All-American basketball team in the All-American game. And I believe the game is March 28th. So look for that. That's coming. And they also announced, I think LeBron mentioned it, that Bronny is looking at 3 schools, Ohio State, Oregon, and USC. Those are the final 3 that that are on Bronny's list.
It's got to be Ohio State, doesn't it? I mean, isn't it Ohio State at the end of the day? And whomever gets Bronny James, more than likely you get an opportunity to get LeBron James.
Right, so, in the NBA.
That's a crazy thing in itself. So we'll see how that works out.
He kind of changed his statement. He said whoever gets Bronny, that's the team I want to play for. Lately he said whoever gets Bronny, I look forward to playing against them. So he kind of changed it up a little bit. So we'll see.
What do you think is more likely, him playing against his son or playing with his son?
playing against, I think. But his contract is set up where he can go anywhere at that point.
Yeah, I think it's with the son. I think that's always been his main goal. He's not
Yeah.
going to retire until he plays ball with his son at the end of the day, no matter what the team is. And it's crazy as it sounds. It could be the Orlando Magic, but I don't think so. The Magic are better than that. So we'll see how that all works out. Yes.
Can you imagine Bron with the Knicks, the Heat?
It would be scary because he's still scoring. And if he had some help, who knows? But it's got to be a pretty bad team. It would be like a Lakers situation, wouldn't it? I mean,
that's true. They're going to be down there.
Yeah,
I don't think they have their first round pick, though. They traded like all their picks away to, I think, almost 2030. So
the Knicks are the Knicks. You know, that's what they are.
Knicks are the Knicks. Yeah,
that's it.
Or you think LeBron would move to Minnesota to play with his son?
I think anything is possible because I thought he would always come back to Cleveland. He did. He won a championship, which was amazing in itself after leaving them and making the decision to go with the Miami Heat. So anything is possible at the end of the day. Give me some final thoughts here on another great edition of Timeout on 24 Flix.
Final thoughts. This is a strange time of year because football slows down dramatically. Now it's all business news, trade news, injury news, and you have very few games. Well, we have 3 games left in the season. Pro Bowl isn't even a game anymore. It's flag football.
It shouldn't be a game. It should have never been a game. It's a joke. I like the skills contest. I'm still not going to watch it.
Yeah, but I did go to a Pro Bowl game in Miami and just watching defensive backs just give up on sprints. I mean, deep runs so they could go. I mean, it was like y'all aren't even trying. So I definitely get it for sure. But I don't know, man. NBA is heating up. And football is just getting to these bigger and bigger games. I can't wait to watch this weekend. I do want to ask everyone to please stay tuned to Timeout. We are on YouTube on the 24 Flix page as well as 24flix.com. The podcasts are coming soon. They are still uploading. We are working on it. So you'll be able to listen to this in audio form in your car or wherever you do while you're running and jogging. Timeout will be there for you.
Yeah, and definitely download the app 24 Flix there. You'll be able to see us and other great programming on that channel on Roku and other various outlets. For the great Chris Cup, my co-host here of Timeout, I'm your host, Peter Blake. Always tune in because you never know when you're going to get a timeout.
Timeout.